Dear viewers, on the last episode, I had the much loved community artist Ilana Art. And if you recall, I talked about the importance of supporting queer artists and artists in general, and especially the Canadian live music scene. So, staying on the topic, I have another exciting artist for you today. But before I introduce you to him, hello and welcome to the fifth episode of season 9 of On the Couch. Crazy, eh? I have talked to so many exciting, sweet, talented, passionate artists and creative folks, and my life has been enriched by it, and hope yours has been too. Your host here, Antoine Elhashem, and my little co-host, Cowboy, sleeping and just being all chill and sweet. All right, Cory Stewart has been described as a synth pop artist with smooth voice, Billboard 2020, that creates fearless, unapologetic, and relentlessly catchy music, Canadian Beats 2018. Cory actually performed live the first time we ever had a live performance on the couch on the final season of season 5 when we had DJ Black Cat, if you have watched the episode. And we're gonna check out his performance and we'll come back.
You mistake my weak for kind, try to get inside my mind. Take a number, get in line. You're not the sharpest in the shed. All of the cards are in my deck, so play with someone else instead. In my head, and I keep going back for more. You're not a friend, you're just a threat. Now you got me drinking, trying to forget. Spending all my time rethinking, wishing you dropped it. It's like I drink the poison, wait for you to die. It's like I drink the poison, wait for you to die. It's my own fault, hit the asphalt. You're no longer by my side. It's like I drink the poison, wait for you to die. What did I just say? Who does all this punish? All this hate that's in my head. I wanna pin this all on you. You're not a friend, you're just a threat. Now you got me drinking, trying to forget. Spending all my time rethinking, wishing you fall, hit the asphalt. You're no longer by my side. It's like I drink the poison, wait for you to die.
You did the crime, took the time. You're like poison on my mind. Can't even think about the ways that you've been wasting all my time. Can't even think about the days that I would even call your mine. Can't even think about it as cyanide. Now I treat you like bleach, and my trust you gon' breach. And I think about the ways you suck like a leech. A line in the sand, like a sign on the land. I'm divine.
Hit the asphalt, you're no longer by my side. It's like I drink the poison, wait for you to die.
We only had a chance then to have a few words with Cory, and I've been wanting to invite him back for a full interview. So let's bring him on, eh? Cory,
Hi, thanks for having me, Antoine. I always love talking with you.
welcome to the show. You're always bright and happy and friendly wherever space I see you in.
Well, it depends on who you talk to, Antoine.
That's very-
But
that's-
thanks for reminding me of that performance. That was so much fun that day. We had a great time, and that
It
was my
was.
first time meeting Black Cat too, who I'm obsessed with. I love him so much.
I love
Yeah.
the guy. But yeah, you had a good performance, and you had somebody signing the song. So I thought it was a very cool presentation altogether. So yeah, let's chat. You are a
Yeah.
Royal Conservatory of Music vocal program graduate.
Mhm.
You have been a songwriter and student of music since the age of 7. Tell us about that journey, just getting into music and the moment that you figured out that this is something I want to do with my life. When was that?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I used to, well, first off, my mom took me to see Phantom of the Opera here in Toronto when I was like 5 years old.
Cool.
And I became obsessed with Christine, who's the lead character in the Phantom of the Opera, to the point where I would put on my mom's apron in the kitchen and sing all of Christine's parts in Phantom of the Opera. And it was at that point that my mom was like, maybe this kid should sing. Like, he seems to really enjoy it. So then she put me into lessons with a local teacher. I grew up in a city called Woodstock, Ontario. And my teacher's name was Beth Faulkner. And I trained for many years and competed professionally and ended up touring Europe with a group singing. I got to do a lot of really cool stuff. It feels like a different life almost that I fully lived while I was a child, just with all of those opportunities. But music in one way or another has basically been in my life for my entirety of my life. So.
So you kind of always knew that this is something you want to get into. I mean, that's a very young age just to get started at. So yeah, I guess it makes it part of your life, basically.
Yeah, I think, it was just something that came so organically. And when you think about it, music is really just the one constant thing in everyone's life, I think. Like, I don't know anyone who doesn't like music, So it's something where it's just...
Actually, I heard of one person
really?
I've talked to in my life who said, I don't like songs like...
Don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't trust, exactly. I don't trust you.
Yeah. Wow, that's surprising. But yeah, no, I think some of us are just driven towards that because it's just such a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful language that we can understand, no matter.
Everyone can understand
in dialect and languages. Yeah, I always say
exactly.
That. And I don't know if you heard my story. I've been taught since I was a kid to respect music because my aunts are two of the most famous singers in Lebanon. So,
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
So it's, to me, respecting and having an ear for music is something that we were raised with. So I appreciate your journey in that sense. And
you got it in your blood as well, then it seems, right? Yeah.
And I love you for saying Phantom of the Opera, my favorite show. I do the same thing every time I do the movie or I hear the song. I start trying to blur it out. Christine's repertoire is on the show.
It's the best. I recommend, if anyone hasn't seen Phantom of the Opera, there is a performance version that I think was done for the 25th anniversary at Royal Albert Hall. And it's on DVD. It's such an amazing performance. Anyway.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to look for that. Thanks for that. Thanks for the recommendation. Okay, let's take a short break, guys. And then when we come back, we're going to dive in with Cory and get to know him very, very well. Hopefully. We'll be right back.
I love my lips, my beautiful lips. I love my eyes, my beautiful eyes. I respect nature. I love all living things. Beauty is kind. I am beautiful. Love the earth, love your life, live life healthy.
And we are back with the wonderful Cory Stewart, and we are gonna dive into chatting. Your debut album, TOV, was released in January 2021, hitting number 9 on the iTunes pop charts and receiving overwhelming praise from critics. I actually thought you had material before that.
I did. I released an EP called 7 Different Sides.
Yeah.
And then the album, my first album, full-length album, was Tove. And that was in January 2021. And that was actually named after a friend of mine who I lost at the beginning of the pandemic to stomach cancer. And I basically, it's a long story, but ultimately the album itself is a dedication to her. And the last song is actually a song called Little One, which has an interesting story to it. When Tova was passing away, I promised her that I would write a song for her. And she was kind of in the late stages of her stage 4 stomach cancer. And I wrote the song. And when I sent it, Unfortunately, she couldn't speak any longer, but her sister was by her hospital bed, and her sister played it for her, and apparently she smiled, and then she passed away the next morning. So I was so lucky that I got a chance for Tove to hear the song before we lost her. She was one of my dearest friends, and as you can imagine, we were all going through so much during the beginning of the pandemic, and that just added so much to the whole pandemic experience. But this album always will hold a special place.
Story. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing the personal bit with
Mm.
us. I was trying to figure out if it's an abbreviation of some sort, the TOV, but no. Okay, so it's a name.
Yeah, it's her name, and also Tove means good in Hebrew. So I figure I'm subliminally telling people that it's a good album.
No, very nice.
Yeah.
And as how it obviously did very well.
Yeah, I was I'm always shocked that people want to even listen to anything that I make, like it's always like, oh my God, like when I hear any sort of praiser or well wishes, or like someone tells me that they've listened to something, I'm flabbergasted, because I'm writing music in my house.
I like that humility. Cool. But being humble is one thing, but being awesome for being a supporting act to a number of legendary artists. My favorite, Boy George. So tell me about that. And Crystal Waters, who I dance so much to Crystal Waters in my club.
Who hasn't? Yeah. I mean, Boy George was awesome. I was just very lucky to have that experience. I went to Montreal and opened for him.
How did that happen? How did it come about? Like, how can you do that? How do you get to do that?
So a friend of mine was doing organizing an event called Strangers in the Night in Montreal, and he had been a fan of my music for a while now, and he said, I do have a slot open. Are you interested in performing in front of Boy George? And he'd seen me perform before, and he gave me a shot, and I'm eternally grateful for it. But
so you had to audition in front of Boy George?
No. I was just slotted in. But I did get to meet Boy George, and when I went up to him, I said, thank you so much for breaking so much ground, because I feel like he really did a lot in terms of gender bending, and also just being openly queer and himself. And I said that to him, and he said, don't thank me. I was just being myself. And I thought that's really cool.
Thank you for actually sharing that line, because that's what I felt always about Boy George. I without aging myself, I am a kid of the 80s.
Yeah.
So when I was we traveled to England a lot in the late 80s, and everywhere you go, it was the new Queen of England, and Boy George on every bus, everything in British. So he had an amazing impact in a time where it wasn't as easy to do that. So
exactly, and I think we all are indebted to him in some way or another, because I think he opened a lot of doors for us.
Beautiful. Crystal Waters, that must have been awesome too.
I pinched myself, or I hit myself, because I didn't get to meet Crystal, but I did watch her performance. So the night was essentially me, and then Crystal went on after Boy George. So me, Boy George, and then Crystal Waters. So by the time she got on stage, it was late. And then, yeah, I really wish I met her, though. I love her.
Well, that's awesome. Awesome. You recently completed a 7-city quarantine tour across the United States, for which you received a 2022 Wavy Awards. I have been following the work on quarantine, and I know we wrote about it a bit in our magazine.
Yes, thank you for that.
So yeah, it was an exciting initiative, and tell me more about it. Tell the audience who may have not don't know. And
yes.
if there's any follow-up that they can watch any of that or see how it progressed? Yeah.
So quarantine initially started, my friend and I, my friend Kisos from New York, went right before the pandemic about going on a all LGBTQ tour, and we were working on putting it together, and then obviously, spoiler alert, the pandemic happened, and then we were thinking, well, how can we do this and still provide a platform for queer artists? So we turned it into an online music video showcase, where we would show 10 different artists and host the show and just sort of like spotlight different artists. And then when it became time where we felt it could be safe to tour, we decided to pick certain cities in the United States. And some of the artists that we'd featured, we would put in the different stops because they lived in those cities. So we would go from New York, we went all the way down to Florida, and stopped at different places, and we're able to meet these artists that we had only, spotlighted on the show, and we got to perform with them. And it was just like a real celebration of queer music and queer artistry. It felt so good. And then to be recognized with the Wavy Award in New York was just like
So what is the
cherry on the
Wavy
cake.
Award? I'm not familiar with it.
So the Wavy Awards are an awards ceremony that give thanks and spotlight to different initiatives that are historically not seen or heard. So like queer people with different abilities. It's a really incredible ceremony, and it was a magical night to see all of these people who marginalized people who maybe wouldn't get recognition, getting that recognition. It was really cool.
Very nice. So 7 cities, Florida, New York, what else?
Florida. Oh God, you're putting that. Okay, so it was
It
in
was too long
September.
ago.
Yeah. So we went to New York. We went to Virginia. We went to DC. We went to North Carolina. We went to Atlanta. We went to Orlando and Tampa, or not Tampa. Orlando and Fort Lauderdale, Miami.
Your first time seeing those cities?
No, I've been to a couple of them. I will say I'm obsessed with Richmond, Virginia. It is so beautiful there. It was cool to kind of see the United States in a different way, though.
It must have been an exciting journey to check out all those places.
The cool thing about touring is, it feels like vacation, but not, because you're working, but you do get the full day to sort of like explore the city and see how life is there. And then at night, you get to do what you love. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have a note here that you toured and performed in several countries around the world: Germany, Netherlands, Austria. I'm assuming that's what you were meaning.
That's when I was a kid. Yeah.
When you were a kid. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you were doing those tours?
I think I was around 11 or 12.
Oh my God.
My mom would know better than I would. That
yourself, or you went with your parents?
I went with my mom.
She went with my mom. Okay,
Yeah. It was a 2-week stint where we
an 11-year-old kid here, go by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Fend for yourself. You know what? I'm a fighter, Antoine. I might have made it, but I wouldn't have come back with all my teeth. But no, it was cool. I mean, I have photos from it. You know how like sometimes when you do things as a kid, you don't really remember parts of it. But I look at the photos and I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. So
that's awesome. Yeah, she kept some memories. That's cool. Oh, that. Where do I want to take this now? The big conversation. You recently released a new EP.
Yes.
But mainly I wanted to get you on the show to talk about that. Yeah, there you go. I honestly, I think the graphic is pretty fucking cool. So,
thank you.
Sorry, Rogers, you can bleep that. But yeah, it's very, very cool graphic. I thought it was very, very sensual. I love the blue. Blue is the color that I go for. So yeah, very nicely done. So what's on that EP? Tell me.
So the EP is called Sheets, and the reason it's called Sheets is because all of the songs are subject matter that should be kept between the sheets, or in an album that I released to the entire world.
What's the reasoning for you named it SH?
So it's SH hyphen, or is that or backslash EETS?
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted people to say shh eats.
Oh my God. I've been trying to read it, trying to figure out what's the reason behind it. Okay.
I have all of these crazy ideas in my head, and
that's what makes an artist when you go outside of the norm thinking.
Cool. So
yeah, what's on it?
The EP has 4 songs and then 2 bonus tracks. So Perfect World, which I did with a group called Slow Dance, Alex and Jacob. Give In Tonight, which is sort of like this in 80s synth, like The Weeknd style track that I wrote with a gentleman named Edward Russell from the UK. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the podcast Inside the Groove, but it's a podcast that examines Madonna's music in real detail.
Yeah, I heard of it.
So he's the creator of that podcast. It's a very successful podcast, and we kind of met through our love for Madonna, and then just started writing together. So there's that song. There's a song called Dreams About Love, which I wrote with a gentleman named Alex Zone, who's out of Chicago. All of these people are queer, by the way. I like to keep it in the family. And that features TYB, who is a queer artist in Wisconsin. And then I have another song called Coming Down that I wrote with a gentleman named Zach Benson, who is based in Virginia.
You're international.
Pardon? Oh, well, no, it's just, that's the thing about the quarantine is that I got to meet a lot of really fantastic people that I could work with, right? Yeah. So that was what was really nice. But all of this is also co-written and produced with my longtime, most trusted confidant in music, and that's Gavin Bradley. He's a Juno Award-winning artist himself, as well as a producer based in Toronto. And he's the secret sauce. He is the guy that I credit a lot of this to, because he's just so talented at production and at making me sound good.
Nice. Speaking of Madonna, did you get tickets?
Yes. Are you going?
I hate you, but
oh, are you going?
No.
No.
I don't know. I could not justify the $700-800 yet, but I've been to every concert that she's ever done before. So I am obsessed. Yeah, I'm obsessed with Madonna.
She is one of those artists that you walk away from the show and your life has changed, as far as I'm concerned. That's very but nice. I'm not a baller either, by the way. I think our tickets were like $300 each. And that's like normal Madonna prices. I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah, I paid $375 in the past. Actually, in the past, maybe 10 years ago, I got like a floor seats for that kind of money.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I saw Rebel Heart, I was like right at the stage, and that was the same price. But now I'm kind of like, I'm not in the nosebleeds, but I'm kind of in the middle of the arena.
Yeah,
but I'm excited.
I was worried about, because when I went to Gaga a few years ago, it was so high up. I felt like I'm gonna get dizzy and fall down the whole thing.
Well, it sucks when you can't see them with your own eyes. You have to watch the screen the whole time. Like, I don't really love going to concerts that way. But the good thing,
exactly, I could do that at home.
Yeah, but the good thing about the Scotiabank Arena is it almost feels like there's not really too many bad seats there. So I'm hoping that I can stick to my word. We'll see what happens in August.
Cool. The other big news that Cory is having these days is a bi-monthly event that you're going to be telling me about.
Yeah. So I just started this. Well, that's not true. During the pandemic, I also started an initiative called Queer Music Social, where I would bring in different experts to do sort of a panel discussion with all indie queer artists to talk about certain things within the industry. So we had people like Eric Alpert, who is a publicist in the industry. We had Jonathan Simkin, who's the head of 604 Records, which is the company that represents Carly Rae Jepsen and Nickelback and many other artists. And I started that, and then I wanted to do something at home in Canada and in Toronto specifically. So I decided to create an event called Queer Music Social, which we just had our last event. It features 3 different artists, local artists that are queer from our city, and myself. And basically it's just a spotlight on the talent. We have another one coming up on March 31st that I'm looking forward to. And you can find out more information at queermusicsocial.com. But it's amazing how much talent we have in this country, and specifically in Toronto.
I haven't run out of guests in 9 years of doing this show. So I can attest.
Wild. It's so great, and such a good feeling to be able to have this ability to put on an event that can celebrate these people and really give us a platform, because I feel that with performance opportunities, it's very, very difficult to find places to perform when you're queer, other than at Pride and Pride related events. You've been very
you hit it on the nail. It's live music is a very hard thing to find in our city in general too.
Yeah, you've been very generous with me in letting me perform at a few of your events. I think one of them I had a broken rib when I performed, which was hilarious.
What?
But yeah, yeah,
One. Yes, I remember that.
yeah. But it was it was just felt to me that we needed something. So, you know, I'm a proponent of if you want something, make it happen. You know,
I'm getting involved in starting a monthly event we're still planning as well.
oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it.
Please do.
Yeah, well, I'd love to get you on one of the performances or something.
Love it.
So, your process as an artist, how do you come about getting onto producing a new work?
How, like, just in what is sort of my writing process?
Yeah.
Essentially what I like to do is come up with a concept.
Okay.
Usually, like, I have lists and lists of concepts in my phone because, you know, you're like walking down the street and you think of something or whatever.
Absolutely.
And
I
then
wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning taping things on my phone.
exactly, you never know when it's going to hit you. But so I write everything down, and then when I go to write, generally what I'll do is I'll either have sort of a melody in my head, or I'll start playing around with different melodies and keys, and then string together something and sort of evolve the production a bit on my own and get it to a place where we can take it to Gavin, who I was talking about earlier, and then he and I will sit down together and produce the rest of it and polish it and make it pretty. And I record my vocals with him as well because he has a at-home studio.
When you trust somebody in this business, it's good to work with them.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I can't remember. Do you play instruments?
I play the piano, like I play a keyboard, but not like well, you know, like I leave it to the professionals. Cool. The problem is, Antoine, I don't have a lot of patience. So to learn how to play an instrument feels like really too much work for me. Yeah.
Okay, I think we touched on this a bit. What's your thoughts on the music scene?
I mean, I just think we need more, right? Like, I think it's tough because we haven't had a lot of opportunity in the past few years because obviously pandemic, but I just think we need to continue creating spaces and celebrating. And yeah, I think it's really magical right now that anyone, if they want to be, can be an artist, and anyone can put out music and express themselves. And I think that's so amazing that there's so many people who are able to do this. And I'm excited to see where the industry is headed.
Great message for everybody watching too. Follow your dreams. There's a lot of opportunities out there. And to close this segment, I'm going to ask you, if you ruled the world for a day, what would you change? You only have one day to make a big change that will impact everybody. If
I ruled the world for a day, we would be in Armageddon. But
you'll destroy everything and start fresh.
Yeah, I think I would take away hate.
Thank you. I love that. Cool.
You know? Cool. Yeah, including within myself. I think we all sometimes have dark moments, and we all, you know, can really not always be the best versions of ourselves.
We do. Funny you actually say that. I stopped by Tim Hortons earlier, and I'm thinking in my head that we can't help it as humans. Sometimes you internally you see something, you see somebody, whatever our nature is to judge or to be mean or to have a bad thought about something. Yeah, hate on something, but you got to stop it at that source before you do inside. Yeah, it's a skill that I'm still working on, and I think everyone's working on for the rest of their lives. But I mean, if I could just eliminate that would be my thing. All right, we're gonna take a short little break, and we will be back with Cory. So don't go anywhere.
I'll buy it into your love, babe. Run away and let's get married. To our bedroom you'll be carried. White fence house, I'll buy you. A big yard nice view, make you happy, I just know it. Say it every day and show it. So if you want me to, I'll run away with you.
And we are back, my lovely, lovely viewers. And we've got Cory Stewart, and we're having a great chat, aren't we?
We are.
We are. So tell me more about growing up and family life and all that. Were you the troublemaker? Were you the funny guy in school? I know I met your brother.
Yes. Yeah. So I have a little brother named Connor. Growing up I'm not going to, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it either. Growing up was kind of difficult. The city that I grew up in, Woodstock, was only 30,000 people. There was a lot of bullying, a lot of hate. I had times where there was gasoline and cigarettes thrown at me. Like, it was nuts. It was not a fun time. Hey, you know what? We all have things that we go through. Yeah. However, I'm happy to say that the city that I grew up in, Woodstock, now has really turned a corner in terms of they've started their own pride organization. They've got regular things that are happening, progress that's happening. Yeah. And it's good to see. I had a wonderful family, though, and still do have. I'm speaking of them like they're in past tense. I have a wonderful family. My mom and dad are both very supportive. And, it was, in a way, I'm glad that I grew up in a small town, and I'm glad that I had to go through what I went through, because I think it gave me a sense of humor about things.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to look at things and say, well, what can I take from this that can help me?
To me, in my head, there's a romantic idea of a small town, but I forget that small town comes also with its own
There's a lot of other stuff. Yeah. I mean, it is nice to have been not grown up in the city, because I do find that I'm so appreciative of Toronto now. Like, I go for walks every morning, and I'm so excited to live here still after all of these years. Like, this is my favorite city in the entire world. I feel like this is home.
Yeah.
Toronto is so awesome. I love Toronto.
I live in Pickering. I love Pickering. I love Durham, but I love being able to be so close to Toronto and come down.
It's best of both worlds. Yeah.
You also, is music now your full-time? Because I know you have another full-time job. Can we talk about that?
I do. Well, no, I own a PR company as well. I think I would be fooling myself if I said that music paid the bills. It doesn't. So I do
it doesn't. And this is why I try to support artists, because it doesn't. And that's what I want the audience to understand, is it takes so much passion and effort and money to put music out.
Totally.
So, especially in a Canadian environment and an indie environment, it doesn't support livelihood at all.
Yeah, it's really tough to make a buck. And I would say that, the streaming, although it's wonderful, you're not making money off of streaming unless you're in the like multi-million streams, which is just not where I am.
And 200 and another episode, 250,000 streams. Last year, I got $200.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's nothing, which is why you should buy CDs from your favorite artist. But also,
and that's what I was talking about last episode, is, do you understand that it costs them a lot to put this music out for you? Mm-hmm. So if you can't go to their live shows, see how you can support them, merchandise, whatever.
Go to their websites Yeah, and see if there's another way. A lot of artists too on their Spotify's have a section where you can donate to the artist. Yeah. So,
hobbies. What are your hobbies other than work? Yeah.
I mean,
you have time for hobbies.
Yeah, like I do have time for hobbies. I love watching everything on Bravo. That's a hobby of mine. I have a dog myself. His name is Curtis. So I spend a lot of time walking with him. I know it sounds really boring, but walking is a real hobby for me. Like I said, I love going through the city.
Actually, it makes sense to me because I love it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if you take the time to just walk and observe the environment around you and get immersed in the environment, not just walk. But
exactly. I have a personal goal of always hitting 10,000 steps a day. And I usually end up getting to 20,000 a day roughly, and that's because I'm just like constantly in between doing work or whatever throughout the day. I'll just be like, okay, Curtis, let's go for a walk, and then he's gonna come running now. But yeah, no,
I was going to say bring him on the show, but I don't know if he's
I think he's on the couch right now, relaxing.
No,
He's a man of leisure.
Yes.
Yes.
Leave him relaxing. Cool. All right. I don't know how experienced you are in watching on the couch, but now we finish with the quick questions. So just whatever comes up to mind. Just
You got it.
Your favorite color?
Blue.
Your favorite season of the year?
Fall.
You're a fall guy. Cool. I like it. Your favorite flower?
Oh God, I don't know if I have one.
Sorry.
A rose, I guess. Yeah.
Easy
Yeah.
to that if they don't know. Your horoscope.
Aries.
And do you believe in horoscope?
Yes.
You do?
To
Cool.
a fault. To a fault.
Boxers or briefs? I love stumping people with that question.
Boxer briefs.
Boxer briefs. There you go.
Yeah.
What makes you laugh?
People.
People make you laugh. Cool.
Yes.
What your favorite time of the day?
Oh, probably 5:30, 6 a.m.
Okay, you're a morning person.
I love being the
But
only person up in the morning.
You're serious?
Yeah, it's my favorite. That's usually, like I said, when I go for my walks, it's like at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh,
I'll
you
go
wake
to
up that time and you walk, Jesus.
and I go for a walk. Yeah, no, I know I'm annoying. I understand.
I would not get along with that. No.
Not many
I'm a-
people do, Antoine. Don't feel bad.
I'm a night owl. That's where the creativity and everything just kind of bursts at like I don't know what happens at midnight, and I just want to work more. Kind of.
That's true for many artists. You know what the sick thing is? I think I'm a morning person, but I'm also a night person. So the real, it's like I just don't sleep.
You don't sleep. Your favorite evening drink after a long day? What would you pour?
Oh, you know what? Don't ever underestimate a nice Diet Coke. I gotta tell you, I love my Diet Coke, and I have since I was a kid.
A song you've been listening to frequently these days that's not yours.
I've been listening to an artist named Moist Breezy, who is out of New York. She has a song called Planet Pleasure, and I defy you not to be in a good mood after listening to the song. So people should go check it out.
Plug. I love you for doing that for her. Her? I'm assuming you said her.
Yeah, Moist Breezy. Yep, she.
What quirks do you have?
Too many to list.
Give me one.
I mean, I'm very anal.
You can say that on a gay show.
That's exactly. I like things particular, and I'm very, very
Oh my God. Okay. We would get along with that.
yeah. So, I'm picky about
annoyingly
certain things.
inattentive, yes.
Yes.
What pet peeves do you have?
Again, too many to list. But we'll go with bragging, which I've done through this whole thing.
I was gonna say, so much for being on an interview about things.
You know what though? Sometimes there are things we don't like about ourselves, Antoine.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What job would you be terrible at?
Ooh, I've worked many. I can tell you the ones that I was bad at. I think the worst was being a server. I was a server at Medieval Times.
Oh my God, me too. I was like for 2 days and I just freaked out.
I've worked at Medieval Times for I think a year, and
Medieval Times.
They work so hard there. You have to carry 30 chicken halves in one arm.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost a ton of weight, but I was very, very unhappy. Yes.
Cool. Your most favorite film of all time? What would you pop on TV on the DVD if you're home to relax?
People are going to be so angry when I say this, but I love the movie Swept Away, starring Madonna, and it is one of everyone hated it. It's like one of my.
No, I'm not a Madonna movie hater. I actually love Who's That Girl. I love Seeking Susan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, so that's it.
They're trashy. They're like they're like a good trashy novel.
No matter what, you can put it on and enjoy yourself. And
Yeah,
that's what, to
yeah.
me, I look for in a movie.
I think so. In a relaxing movie, yeah, absolutely. What dish do you cook that no one should miss? We should all come to your place to try it.
Oh gosh. I make you know what? I do make a wonderful stuffed pepper dish that's really quite lovely. So,
I think you're the second person on my show over the 9 years who actually said stuffed peppers.
Oh yeah. I mean, it might be a trendy dish right now, but I'm kind of
Is
addicted
it?
to
Okay,
it.
I don't know if it is, but yeah, I don't know why I remembered that that was an odd dish for somebody to say. So maybe I'll find out who the person who does it, and we'll have a competition to see.
Okay, I'm in.
Are you usually early or late?
Early.
You're an early guy. You're cool.
Mhm.
I was going to say my pet peeve is tardiness and late.
Oh, I hate that too. It just says to me that you don't respect my time.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
actually the line that I use. If it's very much a disrespect of your time.
Yes, absolutely.
Describe a romantic date. What would you do?
Oh gosh, who has time for romance, Antoine?
Oh, come on.
Describe a romantic date.
You poison them. No.
Yeah. You know what? I love going
He
out
has a
to
song named Poison. That's why I said that.
yes. I love going out to eat. I love a cute, like local place, just somewhere that's dark so they can't see how much makeup I'm wearing, and just somewhere really quaint and nice where you
Yeah,
can talk and
okay.
just like
Yeah, we
enjoy
can talk.
local food. Sorry, I just lost my headphone.
All right. Get that.
There we go.
You're back?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. And describe an ideal way to spend a weekend after a very busy week. What would you do?
Oh,
Unplug?
stock up the fridge with tons of food and then order Uber Eats and then sit and watch Housewives all weekend long.
Really? You're a fan?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
100%.
All right. And we come to everything good comes to an end. So this was enjoyable. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to talk to you. When we see each other, we don't always get enough time to catch
Really.
up. So I'm
Always
glad we got
buzzing in events and community.
two ships in the night.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for watching yet another episode of what I hope is your favorite show. I'm assuming it is if you kept us on air for 9 years. And thank you for that. I love you and have a wonderful, wonderful day, and love yourself.
Bye. Thank you, Antoine. That was awesome.